Hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Daily Shooter, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Blackhawk T-Series Level 1 retention holster. If you ask me, this is the holster that Blackhawk should have created and just completely scrapped the Serpa altogether. This has everything that you're going to want in a Level 1 retention holster without the fear of something accidentally happening. This channel is proud to be supported by the Firearms Policy Coalition. Make sure you click that link in the description box, become a member, and donate when you can. Spartan Arms in North Las Vegas, Nevada. Let them know the Daily Shooter sent you. And K-Var, Arsenal, makers of some of the finest AKs around. Okay, so the Blackhawk T-Series holster for Glock. Now, like I was saying before, this is a level 1 retention holster, and to give you guys kind of an idea of what that means, a level 0 retention would be like a Kydex holster, something that just uses compression to hold the firearm in place, even a leather holster that just uses compression to hold the firearm in place. This one right here has an added level of retention. That would be a locking system that actually holds onto the firearm when you put it in here automatically, and does not let go of the firearm until you want to. So basically we could take a Glock 17 right here, go ahead and put it in the holster. It's going to automatically lock into place where you're not going to be able to get that thing out. However, there is a switch located on the back right here, or a button. You go ahead and depress that. It will allow you to release the firearm from the holster. So you can see Kydex would be kind of like level 0. This has one added level of retention. So this is a level 1 holster right here. Now, this has a lot of great features, a lot of really nice features. And above all, it has some features that add benefits to the Serpa holster, which is its predecessor. A lot of people didn't like the Serpa holster. I don't have one to show you. A lot of people didn't like the Serpa holster because also being a level 1 retention holster, you'd go ahead and you'd put your grip on the firearm, and there'd be a button up here. You'd use your actual trigger finger in order to depress that button or add a little bit of pressure to it, and then draw the firearm. Well, some people were actually having problems because under stress, tension, or just trying to go too fast, they would put too much pressure on that button, and as they were drawing the firearm, their finger would sling back like this and activate the trigger. And so that was, while that's user error, it's still, if you ask me, a design flaw in the holster itself, because there shouldn't be room for user error that's that dangerous, okay? So having a Serpa holster, even though they work great and they're actually pretty nice holsters, and while the design itself does keep your trigger finger up and away from the trigger when you're drawing it, I mean, just the fact that you can have that type of a problem means that, to me, it wasn't a great design. So what they did with the Blackhawk T-Series is they went ahead and they moved the retention system to the back right here. Now, it's called the T-Series because we have these two guards that are located in the back that basically keep any type of accident from happening where the holster or where the firearm can be released from the holster. So you can see on the sides right here, we have these two notches on either side, and in the middle is going to be the retention release. So again, these basically act as protectors from outside interference. So let's say you're in law enforcement, security, or something like that. Somebody's trying to grab your firearm. With other holsters that are on the market, which we'll take a look at a couple in just a second, they might be able to still activate the little button that's located kind of in the same position and still strip the firearm. With this one right here, it adds, again, a little bit more protection in the fact that you're going to have to go straight down, press this button, and then pull straight out in order to get this firearm out. So that could be a plus or a minus depending on how you like to reach for it, but this is basically designed after the Master Grip, where you're going to have your hand ready right here on the back of the firearm. So let's go ahead and put one in. Okay, so basically what's going to happen is you're going to go for your draw. You're going to come down like this with your grip, finger off the trigger, finger's going to be in this up position right here. So you're going to go down to draw the firearm. Your thumb automatically goes into that little spacer right there so that you can go ahead and release it. So as you bring your hand down directly on it, you can go ahead and depress that button and then pull out the firearm. It's a little bit tight right now, but you go ahead and pull that out. Otherwise, if you try and get in like this or any other way, it's just not going to come out at all. Again, your thumb has to come down, which is going to be pretty natural. If you have a good grip on it, your thumb's going to be in this section right here anyway, and you'll be able to pull that thing out. So again, you can see the design is hands down 1,000 times better than the original Serpa design. So the T-Series holster, if you ask me, should completely replace the Serpa. Again, it's a really, really nice holster. And the thing about this holster too is they have a lot of design aspects that I really like. Let's compare it to another one, okay? This is a Safariland holster. This is the, I believe, the 7S with the ALS retention system. I have to look up the actual name for it. But this, again, is a level 1 retention holster. This one right here has a switch on it. Okay, right, located right there. And so when you would come down with your draw, let's go ahead and take the Shadow Systems MR918 here. So when you would come down with your draw on this one, again, your thumb's kind of in the same place, but you would just simply push on that and it releases the firearm. Okay, all these have been safety checked prior to filming, just so you guys know. But again, you come down with any grip, and as long as you can move your thumb above that button right there, you just depress it back a little bit and the firearm comes out. But there are some things about the Blackhawk that I like more than the Safariland, and I will be doing a full review on the Safariland as well. One of the things I like is that on the Blackhawk, they actually have a cutout for an RMR. So if you're somebody who's going to be running optics, and, you know, while this is kind of an old design, it's been around for a little while, and this one is definitely newer, they thought about optics and suppressor height sights as part of their design. Now with this holster right here, the Safariland, I cannot use it with any of my suppressor height sights. It basically forces the firearm down and doesn't allow the trigger guard to go completely in. So if I was to take, let's say, this Glock 17 right here, which has an RMR, suppressor height sights, that sight sits kind of high in the holster here. Okay, so as I go, it pushes it down in the holster. And you can see right there that the trigger guard actually butts up against the holster itself. So since I have suppressor height sights, I cannot put this thing in, and it's stopping just before the optic. I know you guys probably can't see that on camera, but it's not the optic that's stopping it. It's actually the trigger guard. Regardless, even if I had the low standard sights on here, the optic itself would just go ahead and bump into that, and there's no way I'm going to be able to put this firearm in. So it's not set up for suppressor height sights or optics, which is fine. You just choose one that is. But yeah, I wanted to give you guys that quick comparison. So we take a look again at the Blackhawk T-Series holster. Again, not only is it cut so that you can slide an optic in there no problem without there being any problems with the optic butting up against it, and you still have access to loaded chamber indicators and so forth. You can see any flags that you might have on your firearm, but it is cut really high for suppressor height sights. So I can put an optic on there, I can put suppressor height sights, I can still get level 1 retention that's very easy to activate, but with modern day firearms, and that's what you get. You get suppressor height sights and an optic, and this allows you to use everything with that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, a couple things I want to note real quick on the Blackhawk T-Series is that if you're using any type of compensator, okay, here I have a compensator. This is a really nice one from Cyanide Designs. The compensator will not fit, will not fit in the ALS holster from Safariland. You can see that it's kind of rounded off right there, so it will not allow it to fit through. But on the Blackhawk holster, because it has an open design at the end right here, it will allow compensators to flow through, which is great. So again, being that this is a brand new holster, they really had a chance to look at the modern design of handguns these days and kind of make those, adaptive changes that you're not going to find in some of these other holsters. So again, I love this holster. This holster is fantastic, but it's basically perfect for a Glock that does not have optics and does not have suppressor height sights or anything like that. Whereas this one, I don't really care if I have a compensator with an optic and suppressor height sights. Everything's going to work just fine with this because, again, it's blow through, it's got a really high cut on it, and it's cut out for my optics. So I thought that was really cool. Now, this one right here is for the Glock 17, but it will also hold a Glock 19. That's why I wanted to bring out a few different types of pistols to show you guys. So what I would do, if you're somebody like me who owns a few different models of Glock, what I would do is I would get the larger one that holds the Glock 17, because then it's going to be compatible with the Glock 19 as well. Where if you get the one that is for the Glock 19, then the 17 is going to kind of stick out a little bit and it's going to look a little bit odd. So I would get the one that's just a little bit larger, and it'll fit both the 17 and the smaller 19. So if we take the 17 right here again, just to show you guys, even though you've already seen it, you can see how the threaded barrel just sticks barely out of the tip right there. But it fits no problem, locks in nice and tight, everything is great. This right here is a Shadow Systems MR918. It is sort of modeled after a Glock 19, so it's kind of got the same dimensions as far as the slide length and stuff like that goes. So I can go ahead and show you guys how that works out. Go ahead and put that in there. That locks in there just fine as well, but you can see that the threaded barrel does not stick out the end. It just kind of comes right up to the end of the holster right there. But either way, it works with both the 19 or the 17. So again, if you're somebody who wants the compatibility between both, but you don't want to spend the money on all that, then yeah, I would get the one for the 17, and then you can use it for the 19. Now, these are actually sold on Amazon, and since they're sold on Amazon, if you guys are interested, I will be able to put a link to Amazon in the description box where you guys can find these. So I think that's probably the best price that I've seen for them as well, is on that website. So again, check the link in the description box. You guys will be able to click that, go over there, and find these holsters. Now, another thing I want to mention, since I've been using this for quite some time now, several months, I've been able to test it with a bunch of different firearms and different variations of firearms. And one thing I can tell you is, if you're taking a look at one of these for a P80 build, something that you've put together, this is my most recent P80 build right here. Great firearm, check it out. I've done a bunch of shooting with it, had a few hiccups. I've been, working on it. Now it seems to be running a lot better, but nonetheless, this right here is a standard, P80 frame, right? It will not work in this holster, okay? Now, it does have the suppressor height sights, not a big deal, but when I put it in, it does not fit, and that is because of the cut on the trigger guard. The cut on the trigger guard is so different with that, little aggressive point right there, that it essentially just kind of, taps the bottom of the holster. Now, another thing that could be preventing it from going all the way in, not just the trigger guard itself, is actually the rail system, because we have a complete rail system on a P80, whereas a Glock has this, rounded off little system right here. So you can see that dimensionally there is some difference, not only in the trigger guard itself, but also in the rail system. So that would kind of prevent you from putting this Polymer 80 into this holster right here. But it's also not going to go into the Safariland ALS, and that's because of the sights. You can see that it kind of rotates right there. Our trigger guard doesn't even touch, and that's because the sights don't fit in. So try and keep that in mind. If you're looking at one of these for a P80 build, there's a pretty good chance that it's not going to work. Now, the belt retention system on the T-Series holster is actually very nice as well. As you can see, we have several different holes. You can move these screws around and kind of change the position of the holster itself. So if you're somebody who likes to run it straight up and down like I do, you can go ahead and set it up just the way it is. But if you're somebody who likes to have a little bit of cant, or even a lot of cant to your firearm, you can go ahead and just take these screws out, reposition everything, put the screws back in, and now you have the cant that you want. But since this is kind of designed after the Master Draw, and you're going to be bringing your thumb straight down in it, for me, it just works out better to have a straight up and down holster. I feel like it's more comfortable. However, if you have it a little bit further back on your body and you're going to be reaching further back, then there is a chance that your thumb is going to be in a position like this right here, and maybe you want a little bit of cant. So it's got a really nice belt retention system. We got a little bit of traction that's located right here on the other side of the belt clip. And your belt runs through and actually holds it pretty well tight. So this one right here, this side of the belt loop is actually, the clip that goes onto the belt is actually a little bit lower than this side. So it actually adds a little bit of compression to the belt as you run your belt through it, and you don't have to worry about this thing sliding back and forth. I've used this on maybe 4 or 5 different types of belts, and they've all worked out pretty well, and it's held on there pretty good. It is set up for like a 2.5 inch belt, so if you have a belt that's 2.25 inch or something like that, there might be a little bit of play, but in reality, I mean, everything just seems to work out just fine for me. So I'm really happy with this holster, altogether. Again, there's some things that I like about the Safariland a little bit more than this holster. For instance, I like the retention on the Safariland a little bit better, the way that you can access your thumb. But again, I appreciate the safety that these two fins kind of provide you right here, and that's something that you're just gonna have to try out and kind of train through yourself. For me, I picked it up in just a matter of a second. It wasn't a big deal. Just reach down, natural grip, push on that button, pull this thing right out, and you're good to go. So I think it's a great holster. It's definitely worth checking out. It is not too pricey. You're talking about Kydex holsters these days that don't have that level 1 retention that can get extremely expensive. And again, with that link to Amazon, I mean, it's fairly affordable. It's just over 50 bucks, I believe, for this holster system right here. Now, another thing I wanted to point out, I wanted to make sure to mention this, if you're somebody who's going to be open carrying, like for me, I just moved to Vegas. I still haven't gotten my concealed carry permit yet. I went ahead and submitted everything, but it takes like 120 days to actually get the permit back. So right now I'm limited to open carrying, but I think if you're going to open carry and you're, going to show people that you're carrying a firearm, being able to have this level 1 retention is going to be a big deal, because let's say you're standing at McDonald's or something, right? And there's obviously going to be a line of people. So it's not like a natural thing where you're standing at the gas pump and somebody comes up behind you. You're going to notice that somebody comes up behind you at the gas pump, and that's not natural. But let's say at a McDonald's, somebody's going to be standing behind you in line wherever you are. It's natural to have people all around you, so you may not pay as much attention. Somebody comes in, they try and grab it from you. Maybe they're, somebody who's against firearms or something like like that and they try and take it from you or something, they're not going to be able to do that with this one unless they get their thumb perfectly back there. And again, this is, you know, these two prongs are against your body right here, so really there's just this little hole that they'd have to get the thumb in there in order to pull this thing out. But somebody who's just kind of reaching for it, you know, with this, you know, bear grip right here, they're just going to reach for the grip and they're going to try and pull it out of the holster, and they're not going to get it. So if you're open carrying, this really adds an extra level of safety. You know, bad guy comes up, tries to take the firearm, he can't do it. It gives you just enough time to spin your body, maybe spin your body away from the person, reach down and get a good grip on it, because somebody's trying to take your firearm, they're probably trying to take your life. And so it's very important to have this type of retention. I would not go without retention if you're going to be open carrying. I don't care which one you go with, I don't care what design you go with. Having retention while you open carry, I think, is essential. Even if it's just a clip on a leather holster that comes in and buttons over the side, at least have that so that you have a moment's notice before somebody has you dead to rights. I think that's kind of an important deal. So anyway, guys, here's the Blackhawk T-Series holster. Fantastic holster, definitely worth checking out. Thank you guys very much for stopping by and checking out this review, watching my videos. Make sure that you subscribe and you hit that like button if you like the video. You have a great day.